Welcome to the Cashflow Canucks podcast, where Canadian entrepreneurs and investors come to learn about wealth creation. Experts in their fields will join your host, Peter Lount, to share their successes, challenges, and discuss opportunities.
Join me and my guest, Fong Chua, as we talk about unlocking one's peak potential. Fong is an entrepreneur, real estate investor, business strategist, speaker, and best-selling author. He helps individuals realize what they're capable of and guides them to succeed. He's going to share his journey and some valuable tips on unlocking your peak potential. Welcome and enjoy.
All right, our guest today on Cashflow Canucks is an entrepreneur, real estate investor, business strategist, speaker, and best-selling author. Every day he helps individuals unlock their peak potentials and guides them to succeed. Many of us are not realizing what we're capable of, whether it's becoming business owners, speaking on stage, authoring a book, investing in real estate, or simply doing something and breaking through our comfort zones. Fong has been able to help many individuals achieve exactly that. Fong has been featured on business panels with Shark Tank's Kevin Harrington, interviewed with Results Radio, spoken to thousands in the United States and Canada. So get ready, because today is the day to unlock your potential. Please welcome Fong Chua.
Hey, hi everybody.
Welcome. Fong, so I gave you a bit of an intro, but can you just tell us a little bit about yourself, what your journey to get to where you are?
Well, the Coles Notes or fast-paced version of my story is I am a civil structural engineer. I lived my entire life thinking that that's what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life, worked there for 40 years and then retire. And then the 2008 downturn came and everything just went kaboom. So that's when I started looking into real estate. I realized that working at a job all the time and being loyal to a company may or may not be the solution long term. And that's when we looked into different businesses, doing something else just to set us up just so that if it ever does happen again, we're set up and we're secured. So that's when we picked up our very first book of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, read that. And then from that, we went to a webinar, to a seminar, to workshops, to all that great stuff, and have a collection of books and business networks and all that kind of stuff. And that's when we got our first property. And then we realized, wait, this isn't as easy of just jumping out there and buying a property. You have to treat it like a business. And then we started getting a coach in business and real estate. And then that coach then challenged me to go and start writing books. And then after I started writing a few books, they challenged me to go up on stage and start speaking. And so now I'm also speaking and coaching. We have a couple of businesses, and we built a pretty solid financial foundation. So that's pretty much the gist of it.
And that's been in the last 12 years, I guess, to now is.
Yeah, we kind of started jumping into it around 20, like really getting into the business and expanding real estate in 2010, 2011. 2008 is when we started looking into it, done research, education, and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
And how do you, I guess, when we look at real estate, there are probably hundreds of ways to invest in real estate. Do you have a specific way that you do invest in it?
Well, I find that the best one, the one that I like most is just buy and hold. Single family buy and holds are easy to do. I find you could do that anywhere you want, and it's pretty much cookie cutter. We have moved into multifamilies, but again, you need more capital. You need to find the right partners to partner up on that kind of stuff. So multifamilies, something in the sixplex and below, and then also single family is what we specialize in.
Okay, and are you investing as a single entity, as a company? Do you have other investors as part of your process? How do you do that?
Sometimes we joint venture depending on the deal. So we might joint venture with other people. We might do it ourselves, depending on the numbers, depending on the property and who's available for a joint venture.
How does that work? Like a joint, can you kind of take us through kind of what a joint venture is and how that comes together?
What I find is in every property, every real estate deal, there's really three main parties. The person who manages the place, finds tenants, and deals with everything that has to do with dealing with the tenants, finding tenants, screening, all that kind of stuff, the management outside. The person who comes in with the mortgage holder, basically the large lump sum of the money, and then the person who comes in with the down payment. So at the very least, there's three main parties involved. And depending on the deal and the numbers, I might jump in as just only the mortgage holder, but I want 50-50. Or I might go in with the mortgage holder and as the management person. And then somebody else comes in with the down payment. So it depends on what how the partnership works. It's very flexible.
Fair enough. Okay. Well, that's good. And when you'd say single family homes, it's literally just, you're not doing any renovations or any of that?
There might be some renovations. I usually like looking at stuff that's anywhere between $5,000 to $10,000 worth of rentals if need be. But that's not to say we haven't done any like buy, fix, and flips and stuff like that.
And over that time, how many transactions have you been involved in?
Well, we've done one buy, fix, and flip, and then right now I look after about 30 units. So wow. During that time, we've built up quite a bit.
So that's built you out some good. When you look at it, I guess you're looking for like cash flow out of it. What specific elements do you look? And
so when I look at real estate, I want to make sure that when I'm buying a property, I will always be cash flowing, regardless of a down market or a low market or a high market or whatnot. And my numbers are usually anywhere between in the $300,000 range for a property. And then I can make that cash flow anywhere between $500 to $700 per month. And that is on top of the $200 of a contingency that I put in. So really it's anywhere between almost $800 to $1,000 cash flow on top of the property taxes, the mortgage, the interest on the principal, and also the insurance.
So real estate investor, and then you got into books, speaking, coaching, all that. What led you on that part of the journey?
Well, as you know, you're part of this community of infinite banking and whatnot. So I started looking into that, learning a lot about how insurance works and how you can become your own banker. So I started lending out my money to other people to make that into a business as well. And then from there, I started doing some investments in land banking, so some exempt markets. Then I got into some gold and silver and kind of used that as my savings. Instead of putting savings into a bank, I started buying more gold and silver. And then as I was doing all this stuff, people start asking me, well, what should I do? And how do you do that? And how do you get into real estate? And what's this IPC stuff? And I found that when I sit down and talk to them, it takes a good 3-4 hours. I'm like, oh man, that's a lot of time. So I started going, well, how do I make this a little bit easier? And I just started writing my very first book. And my very first book is everything that we do, from real estate to commodities to network marketing. We got into that as well. And then also like the IBC stuff. And each chapter is really talking about the introduction of getting into it. So if you want to know more about it, then I'll direct you to the right people, or I can teach you how to do that kind of thing. But at least it's a good starting point for me to go, okay, well, why don't you read this first? And then once you get a kind of inkling as to what I actually do and how to do it, then we'll get to some in-depth conversation so that I don't have to go through everything every single time with a new person. And then from there, I just kind of got an itch because I was writing my first book and I realized, well, I want to talk about this too. And then after that, I'm like, oh, I could talk about that too. And then after a while, I'm like, I might have a 400 or 500 page book. So then my coach told me, well, guess what? You could do a second book, a third book. So I had a list of titles that I still have a long list of titles I'm thinking of writing. So I'm actually on my fifth book right now. I just finished publishing that. And everything from buying cash flow properties to mindset to building a team. And my most recent book is how do you connect with effective communication. So it's been a lot of fun.
How was the first book? How was it? I don't know, from a mindset, like just everything to build up. Was that something you were ready to do, or did you? How did that come about?
It was difficult. My coach said, "This is what you should do." I'm like, okay, I'm going to sit there and go, how do I write my very first book? And then obviously you have a whole bunch of these negative thoughts and limiting beliefs and all that kind of crappy stuff that gets into your head. Who's going to be reading my book? That person's smarter than me. Why should I be writing a book and not that person? And what if I'm wasting my time? What if? And all this this junk. Then my coach was the one that came in and says, okay, over the last 100 years, there hasn't been anything new that's been written. And the thing is, your voice has not been heard. So write the book for the people that has not heard your voice, or for the people who wants to listen to your voice. And you just have to connect with them. Who cares about everybody else? And from there, from within 2 years, I wrote 3 books. So
wow.
I got it.
Yeah. Once you figured it out, I guess it just flowed from there, right? Just getting over that first hurdle.
And the thing is, it's like I said, it's a really big mindset thing. Once you kind of tweak that thought process, or you hear from a different perspective, you go, you know what, that's right. Why can't I write that book? Why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? A lot of people, I work with a lot of speakers as well. And they're like, well, I can't write a book. I'm like, but you're going up on stage and speaking, or you're doing speeches and you're doing presentations. Who are you to do a speech? Who are you to do a presentation? So if you can do that and stand up and talk to people, then you can write a book. It's no different than that. So
right. Now, this may be kind of 2 questions in one, but just can you talk to the importance of a coach and the importance of mindset?
Oh yeah, for sure. A coach is something that is vital for anybody's business and also anybody's personal development as well. For me, when I said, once we got into Rich Dad Poor Dad, we learned about the technical stuff, we learned about the numbers, we learned about how to do the actual deal. But what they don't really teach you was at the time building a relationship, the business side of things, the ins and outs of the trenches and all that kind of stuff when you're really going in there working on business deals. And that's where the coach really came in and really changed our way of doing things. The very first property that we put an offer in, we put in an offer for I think it was a condo. It was listed for $120,000. We put an offer in for, I think, $80,000. And right now we're like, well, that would be a great deal if it was accepted. But at the time, I was freaked out of my mind because I was afraid that it will be accepted. So I was like, I put in the offer. I sat there, please don't take it, please don't take it, please don't take it, because I don't know what to do afterwards. And that's when we realized we were missing that guiding force, and that was the coach. So once we hired a coach, that's when we actually started building more and more real estate. Got a more sense as to how do you connect with people, how do you talk to people, how do you structure deals creatively, and then also jump into other opportunities. Like we've looked at hotel deals, we looked at multi-unit deals, we've looked at commercial real estate, all that kind of stuff. And that's really because that coach helps you expand your horizon. They open up your mindset so that you can do stuff that you never believed that you can do. And the beauty part is, the coach is somebody that's there, that's been there and done that. From their perspective, all the troubles that you're going through right now, or all the conflicts and challenges that you're facing right now, to them, they've done it. So they know it's just that little hump or hurdle that you will get by. You just need to be able to persevere over it. You just need to understand that, you know what, over that hump is this next step. So when you're prepared for that next step, that hump doesn't feel as large or as troubling. One of the best things that my coach has helped me with was calm me down when I had to evict my very first tenant. Ooh, that was stressful because I'm like, well, what if they sue me? What if this happens? What if that happens? My coach basically goes, calm down. It's not that hard. Everybody gets sued and everybody gets evicted and all that kind of stuff. So you're not the first one. It's been done. So it's that calming force. And that's why the coach is very important when it comes to guiding you through step by step, and also showing you what potentially you can reach on top of what you're already doing. And then also works with your mindset, gives you a good perspective, gives you a positive attitude, because your coach isn't going to come and tell you, yeah, you can't do that, or yeah, it's never going to happen. They'll go, it can happen. We're never going to tell you it's not going to happen, but these are the risks. These are the benefits. These are the things you can expect. What do you want to do with it? So it's a good common force.
Yeah, it's funny because real estate can be very, the barriers to get into real estate is not as hard as what you think, but a lot of times becomes the barriers you set within are the ones that probably hold you back more than anything.
Yeah. It's really that mindset of it's the mindset of what is the unknown, the fear of the unknown that stops people from doing things. When I talked about putting out our first offer, the fear of having somebody accept your offer was probably the reason why people don't put out offers. The fear of getting it rejected is probably the reason why most people don't put out offers. Lots of people don't understand that, hey, putting out an offer is not the end all be all. Putting out an offer is just, hey, let's see what happens. And it's to the point where I've been putting out offers on houses that I've never even been into the house before. And people go, well, why do you do that? Well, it comes down to time efficiency. I'm not going to go and look at all these houses, assess all the risks, and then find out what the expenses are going to be and go, I'm going to put an offer on this one. And then after all the negotiations and all the back and forth to find out that does not get offered or that doesn't get accepted. So then I just wait until it gets accepted. Then I go in, assess my numbers, and then renegotiate if need be. So it's just one of those things when you understand the outcomes of what an offer means or what's the results of the actions you take, then you know how to use it more strategically and you know how to position it well for your own advantage. So it's more efficient.
And so I just look at all the experience you've had in terms of the number of deals, the volume and all that. I think compound effect is a huge impact to where you are today, because a lot of it was limiting beliefs. And then once you've done it once, twice, dozen times, you've done things dozens of times now, just you probably don't even have to think before you act on a lot of these.
Yeah.
A lot of these things. I was going to ask you, you talked about connecting. Can you talk about making connections?
I find that building relationships is very important, and connecting is one thing that you really need to focus on. Lots of people believe that when you talk, you're connecting. When you write something or when you hear something, you're communicating and you're connecting with that individual. But what people don't understand is sometimes you might be saying the words, you might be hearing the words, but you're not really connecting with that individual. A good example that I usually use is, have you gone through the experience when you're walking down the hallway of an office building or walking down the street and somebody goes, hey, how are you doing? And before you're able to answer, well, you've already crossed paths. So is that communication? Yes, but you're not connecting. So when you're connecting, you really are engaged. You're listening to what the person is saying instead of just hearing what they're saying. You're listening, you're evaluating, how do you add value to that person? How do you add value to that relationship? How do you add value to that discussion so that there's a give and take kind of relationship there? The more you think about adding value to others, the more strength you build in that relationship. It's not just one-sided. So when we build our power team, our team of realtors and lawyers and mortgage brokers and all that stuff, we're in it for the long haul. We want to be there so that this is the person we want to rely on and work with for the long term. So if I'm not referring back business to these people, then why are they going to help me, or why would I be on the top of their list if I need something? So for our team, we actually been having like annual dinners every single year because we've built that friendship, built that relationship so that we can work well together. We've connected. We know each other's families. We know each other's kids. We know each other's hobbies, what we like, what we dislike. And it's a lot more fun to do business that way. And it's a lot more fun doing investments in real estate because everybody's engaged. Everybody wants everybody to win, and everybody wants everybody to grow at the same time. And I believe that's very important. So that's from a business and team perspective. But also, if you want to go out there and be able to convince somebody or work with somebody or get somebody to partner up with you, you have to be able to speak their language. You need to speak in the language that has to do with what's in it for them to even pay attention to you. For instance, if you wanted to interview somebody, you're not just going to go, hey, let's do an interview. You build that rapport first before you go, hey, let's how about have a chat on Zoom or let's meet up. You want to build that rapport before you start asking for stuff. And that's the whole reason why we need to connect better with people, because a lot of times, and I'm sure you've seen on LinkedIn, there's a lot of people that, hi, nice to meet you. I provide this, and let me know if you want anything. Well, I usually don't respond to that because you don't even know me. So you need to connect first before you really want to work together with somebody. You may or may not want that potential client, because that potential client might be somebody that's very, very annoying or very, very needy. And sometimes you have to pick your clients to fit into what you are looking for as your ideal client. Do you want to spend that time to work with them? Do you want to spend that time to explain everything to them? Or do you want to have somebody that, trusts you and understands your expertise, and then you could work together easy?
Yeah, absolutely. That's, I think that probably gets looked over quite a bit, but yeah, no, absolutely. Giving is definitely part of that. There's definitely a big give as part of that connection, right? In terms of what you're offering out. Can you talk about, whether or not it's challenges you've held before, or maybe even just now, like how are you dealing with the challenge right now of pandemic? How is that affecting your business? Or do you see it as opportunity? Can you talk to that?
I find that every challenge provides a new opportunity and new arena for you to really jump in and see what are you capable of and what can you do differently. Just like I said, how I started into real estate, if it wasn't because of the challenge of the 2008 downturn, and at that time what I missed was I was told I was going to be losing my job at that time, and that's when that's when it really changed my mindset. Go, I need to do something different. Okay, so because of that mindset change, that gave me all this stuff. Now I started doing all this real estate business and whatnot and speaking. So during this period of time, yes, it's difficult, it's challenging, but it's also a time for you to go, okay, what else can I do to complement what I'm already doing? One of my biggest weaknesses is really engaging with people online. I've always told people that I like coaching one-on-one, face-to-face, in person, because I feel that engagement there. I feel that connection there. I feel that we're really working together. I could see their tendencies. I could see how they move. I could see all that great stuff because we're face-to-face, right across the room, right across the table. So then I was resistant doing Zoom calls. I was resistant doing phone coaching. But right now, it's great because I could do interviews with yourself. I could do interviews with people throughout. I'm doing an interview with somebody right after you who's living in Hong Kong, which is somebody I can't do if I was only doing one-on-one face-to-face. So during this time, what I've been telling people is this is the time for you to really sharpen your axe. What can you learn? What can you put into your toolbox that would help you out later? Is it because when we get out of this lockdown, when we get out of this pandemic, if you want to start off from where you left off, you're going to have to actually change your mindset to start where you left off, because lots of people are going to be starting off behind. Lots of people are just waiting for things to help them out, waiting for things to happen. But if you just sit and wait and not do anything, then you're wasting all that time that you can build your expertise. So during this time, I've been creating courses. I've been doing more interviews. I've been doing more podcasts. I've been doing more one-on-ones on Zooms, actually challenging my clients to write their books. My challenge is you're stuck at home anyways. You've been talking about writing your very first book for months, and all you've been saying is you have no time. You have no time. Well, guess what? You're stuck at home right now. And in fact, I'm going to challenge you to finish writing your book from scratch to publishing it in 3 months. And if you don't, your penalty is this, or your consequence is that. So that's enough to motivate them. And I have 3-4 clients right now that's almost under draft, and it's only been 4 weeks. So right now is that time to do what you wanted to do for the longest time and just get it done. So when it's all done, you have that in your toolbox. You have that to rely on, and then you can add that to whatever you need to do.
Cool. We're going to ask you, so that's kind of how you're doing with now. What are your plans or what are your goals for the future? Maybe the next year, and then have you thought out 10 years from now what you'll be doing?
I'm thinking of 10 years a little too far.
Yeah.
I like thinking 1 year at a time, and then 5 years is one of those things that's more big. I can't say that 5 years ago I'd be saying I'll be doing this kind of thing. So for myself, it's really, okay, what can I do to every single day? Am I doing something that's a little bit more advanced or a little bit more helpful to my business or reaching my goals? So like I said, I'm creating more courses now. I actually am launching a podcast show on a platform. May 6th is my very first episode. So doing different things, adding to what you're already doing every single day, mind feeding every day. My thought process is that by the end of this year, I have more clients, I'll have more successes, I'll be able to share more stories with people of people I've helped out and people I've helped unlock their potentials. And as long as I'm constantly adding more value to people and helping people succeed at what they wanted to do, then I'm happy. Also, be a good husband and a good father.
And I guess, so it brings back to like, why do you do it all in the first place? Is that?
Well, the reason why we do what we do is normally it's for your family, it's for your loved ones, and also for your own personal sense of self-worth. I've always grown up thinking that I'm meant for something. I want to be able to add to the world. I always wanted to help people. So first and foremost, it's for my loved ones. I want to be able to provide for them. I want to be able to be with them when the time comes, and see my daughter grow up, see all that stuff that fathers go through that they want to be at, but they may or may not be able to because of work and whatnot. So be able to build that financial foundation and building that passive income helps you with those decisions. You could take more vacations, you could take more time off, you could take more time to spend with your family and whatnot. But at the same time, I absolutely love working with people who are struggling or who themselves realize that there's so much more they can do, but they're stuck for some reason. And having them come up to me a year or 2-3 months later and go, wow, you really changed my life. You really showed me a way of doing things I've never dreamed of doing. Well, that really speaks to me, because that means I've added something to the world. That means I've made an impact and I'm making the world a little bit better, then I'm going to leave it. So it's one of those things that drives me. I love working with people and adding value.
It's funny how we talk about money and it becomes a means to an end, but then once you get to a point where you get to a certain point where money doesn't, shouldn't, you get to a point where you don't want money to be an impact on your decisions, right? You want to I want to have enough money where I can do whatever I want and make those decisions, and that's it. And it's not about necessarily the money per se.
It's really about your freedom, the freedom to choose, the freedom to act the way that you want to act, and deal with things the way you want to deal with things. Money and finance is one of those things that becomes a hurdle for a lot of decision making. And what you want to do is not have that hurdle as much as you can. So when you have that set up, at least you can make different decisions. So for instance, way back in 2008, when I was told this is going to be your last day at work, the first thing that came to mind was panic. What do I do? Where would I go? And in comparison, right now, like I'm still doing engineering work because it's something I'm very I'm good at. So when this time comes around and go, oh, you might not have a job later, then I can go, oh, that's okay, because I have more options. I have more freedom if that time comes. So
that's awesome. Well, Fong, I appreciate you taking time to share what you did today. How can people get in touch with you? I know you said you had a podcast coming out. Can you talk to just ways that people can connect with you?
Yeah, so I do have a YouTube channel. It's Your Area TV. You can search on that. I have lots of videos on there. I have lots of interviews on there as well, and some tips on branding, marketing. I got some tips on just mindset stuff. And then you can find me on meetfongchua.com. If you want to just connect there, I'm going to be there as well. On Facebook, I'm very active on Facebook. You can find me just Fong Chua on Facebook. And then my podcast is going to be on a platform called Millionaire Fix. And the thing is, it's like lots of people, well, what's Millionaire Fix? It's like Netflix, but for your mind. You jump in. If you want to learn about cryptocurrency, it's there. If you want to learn about real estate, it's there. Business, all that great stuff. They have interviews with some of the most successful people in the world. And I'll have a show on that platform. You do have to subscribe to that. I could give you a link for that as well. So yeah, connect with me on Facebook, on LinkedIn. I'm on there as well. Or you could just email me at fong.chua@yourarea.ca.
All right, Fong. Thank you very much.
Hey, no problem.
Thank you for taking time to listen to the Cashflow Canucks podcast. You'll be able to find out more about our guests and how to connect with them in the show notes for this episode. Would you like to learn the secret ways savvy investors and smart entrepreneurs are turning their expenses into positive cash flow? Then you want to read the Infinite Banking Concept book. For a limited time, I am giving away free copies of this book valued at $30. If you want a copy, just email me, Peter, with the subject line book to peter@cashflowcanucks.ca. Again, if you want a free copy of the Infinite Banking Concept book, just email me at peter@cashflowcanucks.ca with the subject line book and your mailing address, and I'll send you a copy. You'll finally understand how the wealthy elite is turning everyday expenses into cash flow. Just email me at peter@cashflowcanucks.ca.